Okay, so my hands are freezing cold all the time, and I've tried all kinds of really good mountaineering gloves because I figure they're out in the coldest weather, especially the alpine guys. Um, and before anybody says it, I hate mitts. I can't work with them. I'm walking a dog, picking up, you know what? So fuck it, no mitts for me. Although I'm tempted because I almost couldn't find anything, and I was about to be honest with you, but then I found something that works awesome. So I figure you got to try this because I bet you nobody figured that you could do this, or at least even thought to try. So, and there's two ways you can do it. So I'm going to show you how I started, what I moved up to, and why, and I'll put it together and you'll see it's awesome. So what I did originally was I bought the Beta ARs. Now these are large. Originally I bought them in extra large. These are so good that I got another pair because they stopped making them. And the newer gloves aren't as, or they're very similar, but they're not as, you can't use them, and they're not as versatile because the insulation is built inside of them. And I get why they're better that way, but they're not if you want to do the types of things that I'm doing here. So what I did was I got the Phase AR liner. This is a Outdoor Research PL400, which is a 300 weight fleece and a 100 weight fleece bonded to the inside. That's a pretty, that's gonna be warm. That's a nice liner. And then I got into this. Now, I'm not gonna jam that in there because I won't fit. So that's why I had the extra large, and it was perfect. And I thought there's no way I'm gonna get cold. Now we had a lot of warm weather late in the season here, so I wasn't able to really test them. And I thought that was gonna be good until it dropped to -9. That was with wind chill. It was about -3, and maybe even just at 0, depending on how accurate the weather was. And my hands were cold, so I was like, what the fuck? So, and because these are good gloves and they're expensive, and there's a reason why they're expensive, and believe me, they're worth it. I pay even an extra $100 for these. So let me get to what I did though. So if you don't know, and this could kind of be a comparison review between the Beta AR and the Alpha SV here, since you got both of them, and there's no other reviews with two people that have both of them, so or somebody who has both. So the Beta AR and the Alpha SV are both shell glove systems. That's Gore-Tex Pro. Arc'teryx makes the best stuff, hands down. I have all kinds of different companies and nobody comes close. Maybe Rab, but they don't go the extra mile, so this might piss some people off. Rab is good, but Arc'teryx it's like an Armani suit, an expensive one. Anyway, so that's Gore-Tex Pro. And the only difference between these two gloves here is the Beta SV is obviously they've got the cinch strap here, which comes in handy for what I'm doing here, and just in general because it's a bigger glove. It has the leather all the way up past the knuckles, which the Beta AR doesn't, and it's got a much bigger gauntlet, which makes a difference for, again, the reason I was using it. And obviously this is severe, so SV is severe and AR is all around. So the Beta AR is meant for all around, and the Alpha SV is for severe weather. So it's got the bigger gauntlet to go over top. Now this is a Polartec liner. I think it's a High Loft Polartec. It's not Polartec High Loft. And it's got the same 3-finger lobe patterning, which if you want to know more, you can go to their site. It makes it so each finger is individually, like, these are great. So you can go underneath the jacket with this or over top. The problem is if you've got a Thorium SV like I do and you've got some layers underneath, you can't get that over top because the jacket gets too big. And it's very, very hard to get underneath. If you're wearing a Gore-Tex shell that opens up, you can get it in there easily, but on a down jacket, it's a little bit different. So this glove is good for, I got another one so that I can use it for warmer weather instead of having this big thing over top of just something that's, when it's cold enough for gloves and it's raining, or even in the spring when it's raining and I don't want my hands soaked. I moved up to the Alpha SV, and here's why. So here's the trick with this glove system: electric gloves. Now these Dakota, I know Outdoor Research makes some of them, but these are, I got them really cheap. Dakota makes good stuff. I think it's a Canadian brand. It's just so you know, I'm in Canada. Arc'teryx is made here as well. Well, made here. So these Dakota gloves, I mean, they're good gloves. Something that you probably pay $100 for if they weren't electric at like a Sears. They're not any high-end mountaineering gloves, but they're built really well. Okay, let's make this simple. Get out of here. You watch the outtakes and you'll see what I'm talking about. So these gloves here, let me just say this so I can stay on track. And sorry if I'm rambling here. What I did with the Beta ARs is I tried to put North Face Patrol gloves inside because I was thinking of the Atom LT liners that they now have. I was thinking to get something warmer because these aren't, maybe my hands just run super cold, I don't know, but they're not that warm. These are definitely warmer, but even these can get cold because the new Lithic glove and the Rush gloves, which are basically the same as these with minor differences, but the insulation is Polartec Alpha, I believe, or Primaloft Gold, and silver. They mix different stuff, but it's bonded in there, so you could put a liner in, sure, but it's different. Now it'd be warmer than these, and they say they're warmer than these, but you can't do what I do to make with those gloves. That's why if you want to do this, you got to try to find these really fast. So I put all the other gloves in here, and they were okay, but then I found these gloves, and these run with a battery. So you got a battery here, and I don't know if you're going to be able to tell. It lights up when it turns, because it's not plugged in. It's telling me it's a full charge. So these things go into here, and there's a cable. Now what's good about these is the cable locks in, which I read reviews on some of the other maybe mountaineering companies. They didn't think of that, and they would disconnect a lot. So these batteries, they go in, and they have a pocket in here. Are you kidding me? Anyways, here, I'm just going to connect this. So you go in, and it locks itself in so it can't disconnect. And then it goes up into the glove. And then you just control. There you can see, so it lit up. It's telling me there's 4 different power levels. And then you can cinch it down, and this stays up here. You'll kind of feel like a Power Ranger. I don't know. I'm a little older than, I remember those guys. I mean, I didn't watch them, but I just think Power Ranger. It lights up. It looks cool. And with the Beta AR gloves, they would come up to here, and I would kind of push them down because it looked cool to have the lights on there. I mean, to be honest, it would trip some people out as you come up to them in the dark. But these fit nicely over top of here, and I can't show you because I had the extra large, and they work. So if you've got the extra large or a large glove and a large, because these are also extra large, you would think, why don't you want to go with a large? You'd have more in there, more room to play because the gloves wouldn't be as big, but that doesn't work. I tested it out. You want the same size glove as the same size here because you're going to take the liner out of here. So you're basically replacing this liner with this glove. And then you're going to even you could put both of these in there. It gets a little tight, but you don't need it because these gloves are awesome. So I'm just going to, the only bad thing about these is that you should just be able to hold the power button for 10 seconds even, which is 3 extra seconds would be great just to shut it right down. Instead, you got to power them off one by one, and that fucking pisses me off. But regardless, it's worth it to just sit there when you're done and do that. So with these gloves in the Beta ARs, they were good, and I would have used them, but then I found these in black and not the yellow, and I went to just see how they would fit. So just because I don't want to use my right hand here, so when you get the SV glove. And the Beta ARs and the Beta SVs are identical, even to their liners, for what's on the inside, minus the fact that it's got a little bit bigger of a gauntlet. So this is where it all gets very nice. Look at that. Just fits right inside. Tighten that a little bit. Good dexterity. I had a little bit more in the Beta ARs. You can't see what's going on with the battery, but you don't care, because once you just turn it on full blast anyways. You get 3 hours full blast, go down to 75%, you get 4 hours, 25%, it jumps to 6 hours, and 8 hours 50% is 6 hours, and 25% is 8 hours. These are beasts. And what's awesome about this, well, why don't you just use these? The heat elements, and I'll show you what the diagram is on the heat. The one thing I was fearing is that your tips of your fingers would get cold, because you know the heat's not elementing from down there. There's a pad in here, and I think there's some wires that run down a little bit on each finger. And the heat kind of just fills the glove. But the problem is these aren't waterproof, and there's a warning about getting them soaked, which is where this comes in, because these are the only gloves that are 100% waterproof, because the shell is on the outside. Some people might disagree. I mean, there's other Gore-Tex gloves, they're all waterproof supposedly, but once the insulation gets wet and seeps in, it's a little different story, because it's constantly pounded on there. Here, the shell is on the outside. This is bonded. This Gore-Tex shell is all the way through the entire glove. The leather is bonded to the outside. Nothing's getting through here. And the Arc'teryx, man, they don't make stuff that leaks. So my fear with just wearing these gloves is the wind and the cold, it's gonna escape. And because it's gonna be so hot in the upper area, even though it's warmer than without the gloves, your fingertips are going to feel like they're freezing, because they're going to be the cold point. And that is what will happen. If it's milder, you don't need the shell. But this is where it gets awesome by having the shell, other than the fact that it makes them bomb-proof, is that Gore-Tex, sure, it breathes, so you've seen all the videos with the Neo shell and the E-vent bubbling through, and the Gore-Tex Pro not. Well, that's good in this situation, and they might say those tests are biased in certain ways, whatever. The heat in this glove gets trapped. Doesn't escape as fast as in this, so my whole hand gets toasty. When I take my glove off, if I do anything, and I go and put my hands back in, it's a fucking oven, and it's awesome. So, just to show you, I can even still, I should have paid attention to which gloves I grabbed here. Oh, I got this second pair in here. So what I would normally do is I'd wear the SV. It's nice and thin, but it makes a difference when it's on inside the glove. Fits perfect. I don't even know what's on. With the Beta ARs, I would put this inside as well. No. Yes, sorry. I would only put that inside before these. So I think I'd squeeze it in there on one really cold night, but it becomes really blocky. This I can still get. It's not as good as the Beta ARs, but it's great. And then you got just cinch it down, and it's awesome. Like, I know it's expensive, but man, if you have cold hands, and you can find these things on sale, like these weren't expensive at all. $150. And that's a Canadian. They're regular $300, and these are expensive, but you can get these for cheap. So for less than the price of one of these, the system was built together, maybe even less. Last for a long time. Buy an extra set of batteries. The batteries are cheap. They say you get a solid year of charging out of them, then they start to die, and then the batteries are cheap, and buy a second pair and you can go for a long time. Get a portable little solar charger, and you can be out in the wild with those for quite a while. The warmest glove system I've found, by far, hands down, right here. Okay, you ready for a walk? Hey, you want to go for a walk? Was that good? Write something below then. Thanks, guys. Let's go. Come on. shot one. And this guy is obviously not impressed. Hey, I thought you were gonna stay here. Come on, get back up here. Walk in front of everything. Not what I wanted to have happen. Okay, so, I could cut that out. You see what you fucking did? Hey? Oh, no, what do you want? It's okay. This take is ruined. Take two. Yeah, alright. You just want to be the center of attention. I'm gonna have to start this one over. Come on, get up. Take three.